Uh, okay. Yeah. The one is, I know I got an information. The registration is still going on. Yeah, let's complete that. Whoever want to register, register, please. We can onboard very easily and then fast. We can go deep dive. Yeah, the second announcement is the request. I mean, looks like most of the people who got requested for the Kubernetes as well, the basics of the Kubernetes at least. Yeah, of course, we are based on the request we got. We also included the Kubernetes part, meaning we will include the Kubernetes also here. I mean, it's not like the complete deep dive, I could say. We will at least able to do some hands-on on the Kubernetes. This is what we can do. Meaning, we can also talk about what are the orchestration tools, how the Kubernetes works, the architecture of the Kubernetes, the each component of the Kubernetes, how to deploy it, how to make a service deployment, the basic things that we'll definitely able to understand and talk here. Okay, this is the second announcement, I could say. Okay. Yeah, I think yeah, that's pretty much, these are the two major announcements. Yeah, please onboard as much as possible early so we can start deep dive without delay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, guys. Um okay, so can I know, like, how many of are looking for the DevOps and how many are already worked on DevOps, and then they're looking for the DevSecOps? And at the same time, right? I mean, why I'm asking this question is to majorly understand where I can focus exactly. I know a couple of people was already looking for the security aspects, and even also they are also looking the same thing. I mean, DevOps also again. So that would help me to understand exactly where I can stretch or where I can, spend much time to understand about it. Of course, there are people which involves both the things. We are been talking and we are learning about the DevOps and DevSecOps also in this part. Okay, so please let me know, and even right. Then we will be we will walk through what are our course content, how do we deal each and every concept or each and every module or chapter that we have mentioned in the course content, how we are going to present. For example, if you take about the Linux or some other tool, right? So how do we are going to proceed with that, and what we are going to learn, what kind of the concepts that we are going to learn, especially in terms of each concept which we have mentioned in the course content. Okay, so this is what we are going to see today, and a little bit about we will start the actual part. Okay, this is the plan which we are betting. Okay, Abhishek, we are looking for the DevOps both. Yeah, of course. Okay, I can see some comments. Yeah, if you are not able to talk, please comment. Chat. Okay, Narendra, he's looking for both. Yeah, Narendra. So, can I know, like, what is your position, like, meaning, have you worked in it?
Yeah, I have with experience on DevOps. Currently, I'm working as a full stack developer.
Okay,
So
yeah.
in my current organization, I worked on Terraform and some of the concourse, CI/CD pipelines.
Okay.
But I want to dive deeply more into DevOps and DevSecOps.
Okay.
But I am a full stack UI developer. I'm into Java and Angular.
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. I hope you joined yesterday, right? The same thing, full stack developer. Is it?
No, I have not joined yesterday. I joined
Saturday's
today.
demo class.
No, I'm not.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, sure. And Nanda, yeah, of course, yeah, of course, most of the people will be starting from zero. Yeah, this is the right place. And yeah, I hope you would be definitely be enjoy. Okay, yeah, okay, DevSecOps, looking for both. Okay, Abhishek, yeah, and Sandeep. I've not worked on DevOps, and I'm working as a service now developer. So looking for both. Okay. Right? I mean, I've seen a trend like, I've seen a couple of my colleagues and couple of my seniors also. What they were doing is, I mean, they are developers, and you know, even the managers or the architects are suggesting or somewhat forcibly doing, DevOps by the developers itself. Of course, it could be right or wrong, but ultimately even developers also been I mean, of course, from a lot of designations, people are from networking, database, database management and networking part, cloud operations part. These guys are also been coming to learn about the DevSecOps because it is needed everywhere, because in order to deliver the software very fast by adapting the DevOps or DevSecOps practice. And some people already been onboarded with the DevOps, but still want to concern about their security part. Then they started adapting the DevSecOps part with the help of some of the security teams. That's how the migration has been. Migration is getting happening between the different roles here. Actually, I'm happy for that. Okay. And because a lot of collaborations will be coming, the person will be with the multi-skill talented person will be there. I mean, you can switch, you can if you are been coming from full stack or some development tools to DevOps, right? You have a multiple choices to travel in your IT journey. This is what I heard. I mean, I've seen, and even I'm very happy also, because that's how also I have my journey has been started. Okay. And what about others? I've not seen other comments. Okay. Um, I hope even if you have been registered, right? Even you can just mention. If you are not registered, please register as much as early so we can go and start deep dive. I think Yogesh, we have talked yesterday, right? I know.
Yes, Narendra. So as a reason, I've not put anything in the chat.
Right. Understood. Okay. No issues, guys. Let's talk about today about the course content that we are going to talk here. Okay. Okay. See, the first thing is, forget about how many tools has been involved and all. The way how we learn is very important. Of course, the counting of the tools is also very important. The main aspect, the course that we introduced the intention of a couple of things. One is interview oriented. Okay. And the second one is the real time, and third one is hands-on. Why the hands-on? Because how much the time that we spent on listening or watching or just reading, right, it won't matter. The matter is how do you practice, or how much hands-on that you do is very, that is the matter. So that's why these are the three main intentions that we want and present in this course. Okay. That's why we don't I don't prepare basically the PPT and just walk you through and read it and then go like this. The main intention how our classes will be, right? We will share the screen and then do in front of you, like if I tell you any of the concept, right, or any particular command, I'll open a terminal and then execute and then tell you, okay, what this is at all, what is happening behind this. That will the underneath process that we will be discussing. Of course, not for like everyone. For example, if I tell you about the CD or MKDIR, we don't need to know what is internal process. At least we need to know what is this command, what binary it is being responsible for in the Linux system. This is what we need to know. Okay. At least we will be discussing. If you are if you are talking about any of the new tool, right? For example, Veracode, if when it comes to learning about the SAS or DAS tool in a security of a DevSecOps pipeline, no one, I mean, most of the people wouldn't know, because that's where we are here, right? Then we will go one more level down and then start learning about it. And wherever we know, right? For example, most of the people would be knowing some of the commands in the Linux. We will just learn and then move it again. The commands that we don't know, right? For example, debugging, how to debug tail operations, how to debug the logs, how to, find the issues in the logs here. So we'll apply multiple commands with the cat, pipe, netstat, telnet for the network related issues and everything. This is the place where we spend a little bit time when compared with the previous time here. So this is how we will be starting and then learning each and every tool here. Okay, and the next one is sometimes, and not like sometimes, for example, when we are learning any of the tool, right, we will, the way how I teach or the way how I deliver here is I'll talk the scenario and then we will learn here. Okay, for example, the same way, take an example of a net stat. Where do we use a net stat command here, and what kind of an issues that we would be getting? Where do we use this tool, or where do we use this command for debugging? For example, to understand how many processes going on, what is a port number, what is a program name, and what kind of the protocol it has been using. So we will spend a lot like time this way and then understand the scenario first. Then we will learn about a tool here. This is how we would be doing it here. Okay, and at the end of the course, right, what we do is we will provide a couple of resumes. Okay, that resumes has been designed manually and used by some of the AI tools also. I think you might have heard about the one page resume, because this has been popular in now, not like now, it is already been started. I mean, if you spend 5 or 4
Okay, second.
pages,
Okay, second.
yeah.
1 minute.
Anyone is talking? I think Malaysia. Okay, if you are not able to talk, can you? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so what I'm saying is we will share the couple of resumes also that would help you. And I would not recommend to share a 3 to 4 pages of resume, at least at max, 2 pages of resume, which was designed manually and artificial intelligence. One more thing, guys, in this process, we will also use some of the AI tools, for example, chat GPT here. Let me tell you, okay, chat GPT, how do we use this? For example, you faced an issue while compiling or while creating a build or while writing a pipeline or while integrating some of the security to your pipeline, right? You faced some issues or you found an error which you are not able to understand. How do we leverage this chat GPT or some of the coding tool to help us to debug or fix that issue? I'll show you the live also. This is another takeaway apart from what we have mentioned in a course. Okay, because right, I personally given I have personally given a lot of time in chat GPT for fixing my bugs. This is going to be off the record. Um, when my manager assigned us some task, right, usually I spend almost 4 to 5 days at least. This is what the timeline which I do take for the task. Could be okay, there is a server. In the server 5 to 6 processes are running, and they asked me, they want me write a one automation script. That script should be doing start 3 servers, or it could be 2 servers or 1 servers. I mean, what is meant by is, there is a script, they will provide a 3 URLs. That 3 URLs are jar files which are from artifact repository, for example JFrog or Nexus repository. Okay, so these your script should read these 3 URLs, meaning 3 inputs, and then download the jars, understand what are services already been running, and the priority also. For example, jar 1, jar 2, jar 3, right? If you are deploying jar 3, you have to restart jar 2 first, jar 1 first, jar 3 then. Okay, there are a lot of dependencies, right? This is the how the requirement I have. So I'll show you how I have leveraged the chart GPT to write the entire script even without starting a bin bash. I mean, the shebang line in my automation script here. It has provided me everything, but only the thing is, after giving it will give you this basic skeleton. From you take that skeleton and then understand it. Why I'm talking, let me show you here itself. I think here, okay. The best thing is, I hope you are able to see my I hope you are able to see my here, right? My screen. Export redirections. Okay. Disable and extended choice. See, these are all some of the queries which I'm leveraging and spending a good time in ChatGPT to fixing this. Of course, one thing is, I'll tell you the thing part here. No. First, create LB with the trigger Jenkins face. Wait a minute. I'll find that for you and then show you, right? The entire script it has been given. For example here, right? This is a basic skeleton. On top of that, you have to do changes. It doesn't mean that API will write every code and then, your task is done, right? It is not like that. It will give you the skeleton, and then on top of that skeleton, you will build on your own logic. But this is a best start, I could say, to start, for completing any such kind of things. Okay, right? There is, see, there are a lot of things. Okay, and another, this is, what I want my intention is, sometimes we will use these tools also. This way you would also learn how you can utilize some of the, for example, ChatGPT I have shown you, right? There are some other tools, Codebase, or which will help us to write. I think some of the developers would know already. We would be using some of the other tools related to the, one of the tool related to the code suggestions and code testers, that it will automatically write a code, and then somewhat this ChatGPT is generic tool that we would be using, but the specific tool especially related to coding, finding an issues, bugs, there are some other tools. We will also try to use that, but for sure we would be using this. Okay, and so this is, yeah, anyone is talking? Okay, if not, Prakash, okay, Viranand, can you please mute if you are not talking?
ಸರಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಿಂಗೆ ತೋರಿಸಿದೆ ಇವಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಮ್ ಆಗ್ತಿತ್ತು ಸೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡೋದು ಫುಲ್ ಕುಂದ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ ಎಷ್ಟು
Okay, I think some girl is talking. Baby.
ಬರೀ
Sandeep, can you help on here? Okay, I think Sandeep has one thing. I have not worked on DevOps, but working as a ServiceNow developer, looking for both. Okay, I think we have already talked here. Okay, so this is, this is how we do teach, and how do we leverage some other tools to debug, to write the entire skeleton of some of the fixing the bugs also. Okay, and everything will be shared, and share the screen share and then do in front of you. And sometimes I'll give you, I'll ask you to share your screen and do in front of me, because why I'm doing this especially is, this would help us to troubleshoot your issues, the first thing. And the second one is, you will get a habituation of attending an interviews. When you attend an interviews, right, some of the rounds, they will ask you to share your screen and open a notepad, and they try to ask you to write the steps, how much you understand about a problem. Then they start asking you to write the pseudo code, or at least what is an approach that you are proceeding, right? This would help you in that particular aspect especially. That's why I'll ask you to share your screen and then show me what is happening. Okay, and I hope this is clear. Any questions so far? Okay, if not, we'll go ahead for this point. Right? In this one, first thing is we will talk a little bit about the important aspects, what exactly the DevOps, the DevSecOps, how it has got evaluated, the basic principles. How do you, once you join any company as a DevOps person or DevSecOps person, the manager, the project leader or the team leader, they will look at you very differently. Differently means there are a developing team, there is a QA team, there is a separate operation. I mean, so operation means IT support team, and you are there. I mean, for example, you join as a DevOps team. The manager, how he look at a DevOps person is, they'll try to assign some of the developer tasks to you. I mean, developer task means like, okay, hey, Yogesh, there is a requirement. Developers are writing a code, and then they are deploying into the one of the dev server. And for writing, I mean, for deploying that, what they are doing is they are doing some manually deploying some jars and checking some ports, updating the log, updating the configuration, cleaning up the logs. This is what they are. Can you automate it? This is one kind of task. And they'll look at you like, we need a properly configured Jenkins server setup. Okay, we need to use Jenkins and master slave configuration to manage our workloads. Can we migrate to Kubernetes from a native Docker containers to Kubernetes environment? Can you help this? Can you do R&D? Can you give me POC for that? So this is how they will look at you as a DevOps person once you join a company, and they will ask you to set up the entire pipeline. For example, if you join a startup company, and there are all the developers, all the architects, or all the leads, but they don't know, or they do not have any person to help on the DevOps part. They will ask you to create a proper documentation for that, or else they will ask you to set up the entire pipeline from configuring a webhooks from your source code management tool, for example GitHub or GitLab, to till the deployment, and again monitoring also. They'll ask you to set up the pipeline. What are the tools that you are going to use to configure this pipeline? So this some of the scenarios, and we will be talking about here. And then this way we'll understand the basic need and some of the principles of the DevOps and DevSecOps here, and a little bit about job opportunities. Not like little bit, I could say. Why I'm telling here is this concept we required at the end of the session, I mean, not like every day. The entire once you completed the entire syllabus, right? We will spend a much time on this, at least 1 hour on this, especially the job opportunities, because you might have already learned at the time. And then how do you approach into the job market, and what are the tools that would help you? What are the remote jobs available for DevOps person or DevSecOps? What is the demand out of it? And how do you start writing emails for them? I mean, at least we will spend a one hour of time. That's what a minimum that I can say. Maximum it's up to, we will see. Okay, this is what we will be discussing. This all we will be discussing the initial days, especially this week or very starting of the week. I mean, next week. This is what we will be doing. But these are all I'm telling you, right? These are all the theoretical concept. At least 2 to 3 hours we would be needing for the DevOps and DevSecOps person, and no hands-on this part. This by the completion of this particular portion, what do you understand is what exactly the DevOps, where you are. I mean, what are the tools got involved, what we are going to learn, and if you are a DevOps person, how you need to think about it. Like the attitude of problem solving of a DevOps person, you would be feeling out of it by the end of this module. Okay, the next one is the Linux part. This is entirely, I mean, not only this, from now onwards everything is a hands-on. Especially I hope you might have already been habituated or using the Linux, based on consideration of those also, we will talk about um, starting from the basics also, and even some of the advanced commands, especially right, as a DevOps person you would be requiring to understand these parts, especially the networking commands, debugging commands, and some of the parts also here. Okay. uh, Especially I'm very much interested on debugging commands, because sometimes we'll also getting an interview questions in a couple of rounds, like the administration part. How do you check your disk space usage? Or how do you debug the logs? How do you find a particular term in an entire folder in all the files? And how do you check whether the port is opened or not? Is it able to communicate or not? How the network communication is happening? Okay. And the host is not resolved. This kind of an issues we would be facing. How do you use that? This is a multi pattern tools we would be learning here. Okay. And some of the basic how to install the entire setup here. Anyone there which never worked on the Linux? Can you please comment or talk here? I assume if no one is telling, I assume everyone is having an experience with the Linux. If not, please let me know. Why I'm asking this, if you are not been worked, so I'll try to spend some time for you also to understand the basics also here. Otherwise, I think everyone is knowing it. And then let's start and then go directly a step by again. Instead of teaching ABC, we'll start teaching us strings also. This way, I need some of the confirmation. Okay. Okay. Never worked on Linux. Abhishek. Never worked on Linux. Okay, fine, no issues. We'll spend some time on there also. Of course, we every as a part, since we mentioned in the course content, we will definitely learn about the Linux also. But I'm very much been little interested on the people who don't know. That is one thing. Of course, it doesn't mean that I'm not interested in the people already know, but I can spend some time to make them understand. That's what I'm telling. And the next one is, I hope, the source code management tools, which in this part, I mean, in this session, we are learning about especially the GitHub. Exactly, it's a little bit history about the GitHub and what are the tools it contains. I mean, what are the concepts, for example, the branches, staging, commits, pushes, a lot of different sub commands we will be learning about. The branching strategies, what kind of a branching strategies that you can follow, and people how they are adapting it. I mean, how they have leveraging the strategies and then implementing their own private strategies. Private in the sense, some people would be following alphabetical order, meaning their branch names will be with the alpha, I mean alpha numeric, alpha characters, that they would be using it. And some people will use some fruit names. Some people would be using the, the basic branching strategy, like main branch, development branch, from development branch, feature branch, bug branch. This way, this is another strategy. Some people would be using fruit names or flavor names. I'll show you. If you have seen, right, if you understand a little bit about those branching, right, it'll be funny also. That's we'll understand some of the, under the basic and advanced commands, we'll learn about what is a git add, status, commit, push, merge, okay, and a stash, log, how to debug it. Everything we will be learning under these two. Especially this is the practical, I mean, this is a little bit time spending area we will be dealing with that when we are learning about this. And what we do is, what we will be try to use some of the existing open source Maven projects and then compile it, how to do that and everything. This is where we will be learning about the Maven related. For example, if you know the Maven is one of the a build tool related to the Java project, how it is managing the life cycle of your Java application. For example, MVN clean is another phase, MVN compile, package, build, deploy, stage. So some of the commands or phases are there. So we will little bit spend some time on learning about the Maven also. Especially it's like a half-an-hour session on this because we require to compile any of the Java project or any of the Maven project, and then we will use uh, we will store that Java Maven project in this GitHub and then do some of the practical part of it. Okay, let me show you GitHub, I could say. So we will spend a little bit time on this part here. I think not this part. Okay. So we would be using a lot of different things to understand about these are some of the repositories was being created and invited me for collaboration for different previous sessions, previous batch students. So similar way, what we do is we will create a one branch, and then as a team together, we will, for example, we will work together, and then we will provide our own branches and create a commits and then publish it. And then how do we interact? We intentionally make two people to make some conflict by doing changes in the same file under the same line. How do we resolve the merge conflicts? Everything we will be learning when we are learning about the some of the advanced commands here. Okay, and at the last I'll give you, if you are interested, I'll give you the pre-existing task so you can start working on those assignments also. This way you will be start thinking about on your own when someone assigned. This would help you to how to work in a real-time scenario. To say, when your manager assigned some tasks to you, how do you start thinking about it? Okay, this would help you. And another one is before this, are you any questions so far? Please let me know in the comments section. We'll talking about. Meanwhile, I'll continue this. And the next one is a Jenkins, because people have started adopting GitLab pipelines, Bitbucket pipelines, any sort of Jenkins. But the majority stakeholder for writing a CI/CD pipelines is a Jenkins, because that has been there and standardized here. Okay. Okay, so we will learn about the Jenkins, what are the different CI/CD tools available, and how do we install the Jenkins, the basic some of the commands for Jenkins, what kind of jobs creations that we do, whether it is a single pipeline, multi-pipeline, or a normal fresh jobs, what are the configurations that we do. This is basic thing we do here, and a little bit time on pipelines here also, because whatever you write some CI/CD pipeline, the requirements mostly related to the multi-pipeline here. Multi-pipeline means there is, I'll tell you the scenario. There is a dev environment, there is a production environment. In the dev environment, your service, for example, you are working on a project A. Project A is a microservice architecture. In a dev environment, you have to deploy as a Docker contents, but the same project A, you have to deploy the application as a JARs, not a containerized mode. But the requirement is you have to write a single pipeline that has to take care of these two environments. Okay, I'll show you this as a real-time example, because this is a really, I implemented it. This is a custom. Actually, this is not the right way. Not right way means always your dev QA staging or production environment should be the same. Okay, same means it has to be the same. Otherwise, you are not following the right strategy for your environments, maintaining environments. But still, sometimes we have to violate some rules, right? We have to maintain. What I could say is, as I told you, like best example here, right? The dev environment as a containerized deployment, but in production environment, jars or individual deployment. Okay, how do you write a single pipeline? Where do you differentiate? How do you parameterize those particular environments? Okay, this we will talk about this, especially in the pipelines and all, because this definitely would be helpful you. Okay, and major part, especially, right? Of course, the plugins from the first onwards, we will be talking about the plugins. Without plugins, we can't do nothing in the Jenkins. And the major important and the not like focus area, but necessary. If you are learning about the Jenkins, when you are attending an interview, at least one thing will come from this particular maintaining or administration of the Jenkins server. What is a matrix structure? How do you provide permissions in the Jenkins? How do you configure this? We will be learning, especially the matrix area of the permissions. When there is a matrix area, meaning there are some checkboxes. In the checkboxes, we will check, uncheck it. For example, there is a user called Yogi, and we want to give only read write. Where we will be presenting, we will check the user read permission and write permission. We will give a blank or uncheck the execution permission in the matrix of a Jenkins. So this way, the user will have a restrictions about it. Okay. And finally, one pipeline we will be writing that will be interacting with all these two. This is one of the scenario which I have just spoke the 2 minutes back. Okay. But I think we won't use the artifact in this one. This is where one of the real-time scenario which I'll show you, or which I'll ask you to write, or which I'll be showing you, and this is how the pipeline would exist. Okay, this is one thing. And the next one is, of course, sometimes we would be spending a less time, I guess half an hour or less than less than 1 hour we will be spending on the Artifactory repository. Especially in this one, we are using a JFrog, or we will use a Nexus for that. Why? Because some people would be using what is this Artifactory management, and where does it exist, how do we use in our pipeline. This is like a storage part, like S3 or your Google Drive. We will store only the jars or some packages of your builds. Okay, this is where we will read and deploy our jar builds into a different environment. So we'll talk more about it. The time that we are going to spend here is either half an hour or less than 1 hour here. Okay, and next one is very important, the Terraform part, because this is the feature, I could say, right? Which will I hope you know the AWS environment. If you log into AWS environment, you would be working with the multiple services, for example, EC2, VPC, Lambda, S3, right, RDS and everything, right? You would be ending up doing manually creating of all the resources. But then by using a Terraform, how you can automate it? For example, you would be getting a task. Your manager would ask you to write one Terraform script that would spin up the entire dev environment. For example, that dev environment is a very small, for example. We don't deal with a very huge task. As an, let's take a use case in this course. For example, I may give you a task related to write a write a Terraform pipeline. What does it do is, Terraform script, what does it do is, it should create a one EC2 with the a PEM file, which we will give manually, and then install the Jenkins, install the Java, install the Maven, install the one MySQL, and deploy one application. That application source code will be in a source GitHub, and then clone it, compile it, and deploy or run some Jenkins pipeline. This may I may ask you, we will divide each task. Okay, this is a problem statement I may give you, and let's understand what this first part, second part, and then how I may ask you to write, or I may show you the basic scenarios, and then you start developing on things. This is how we will be using. And the way in this use case, what we are going to learn is especially managing about the data, where's, how do you compile it, how do you run it, how do you plan it, how do you apply it, what are the if we complete this one use case, you would learn a lot of internal parts of a Terraform. For example, as I mentioned you, right, where's, data types, data source, provisioners, what kind of a provisioner that we will be using, once you have deployed, I mean, once you applied it, you would be creating a state file. What is a state file? How do we utilize it? What if state file is misread? Right? What I want to say is we'll take a use case and then learn all these concepts from that use case. Okay. By the end of this session, what you would be getting, you would be happy with the completing one use case by using a Terraform, and then you learned all the concepts, not like all the concepts. Okay. All the whatever I mentioned, everything will be here. Why I'm stressing here is, right, if you start adopting or learning any tool, it will be never ended. But these are the some of the basics you would be repeating. I mean, you would be using repetitively. That's why we have mentioned the course curriculum here. Okay. Similar way with the Ansible. Okay. Especially what are the different configuration management, like Puppet, Chef, SaltStack. These are a very, not like I could say very old, but these are some of the world tools, but still people are using because they've already adapted and they are taking a time to migrate from Ansible, or from Chef or SaltStack or Puppet to migrate to the Ansible. Okay. So we'll take one use case and then understand what exactly the ad hoc commands, Ansible playbooks, how do we run it, what is the inventory file, how do you run it, how do you manage the vars, how do you deal with the vault, which is especially for maintaining the credentials in it, and what are the security aspect of it. This is what we will be learning in the configuration management here. Okay. The next one is a Docker. This is one of the major tool which every company has been looking. Of course, this is a basic. People not start asking about the Docker. People started asking about do you have an experience with the containerization? Meaning, are you able to do a Docker container? I mean, are you able to containerize any of the application? This is what indirect meaning of that particular statement. Okay. Meaning, can you use a Docker and make a container from out of it? I mean, will you able to Dockerize my application? This is the meaning of that, what they are doing. Okay. And majorly by this time we are done with the DevOps part. This is where from next onwards we will be talking about the security part, especially again when we are learning about the security, right? What we would be doing is we'll go again and where do we integrate the security here? For example, here, right? Source code management, for example, GitHub. What are the security aspects of here in the GitHub, which we did not learn at the initial time? This is what the security comes here. Okay, which is your CI/CD pipelines means every phase. For example, in this GitHub, in the CI/CD, in the Artifactory also, in the Terraform also, we will be learning about especially the container also, we will be learning about the security concepts. How do we protect each and every tool that we have used? How we make leverage or how do we leverage those concepts, security aspects in our pipeline. That is the end of this particular part here. Okay, this is another little bit about a theoretical part, but is very important. We'll need to understand this from this onwards, all the hands-on again here. Meaning when it comes to the cloud environment, the basic thing that we do learn about is the AWS. In the AWS, we will learn the basic things, at least the services, how to create a EC2, what is the IAM role, how do you create a one IAM role and assign it, what is a load balancer, how do we assign a target groups to them, how do we deploy it, one VPC, API gateway. Without API gateway, I'll give you some kind of a use case, because if we keep on introducing new service into that, the use case would be somewhat complex, which you would be confusing it. So I don't want to make you that point. Okay, so I'll take a basic use case and then make you understand of tools. Okay, this is what we learn in AWS also. Okay, and finally, once you learn about the AWS, we'll learn about the WAF rule. What is the shield here? WAF is, the web application firewall. You would apply this WAF rule only a couple of services, not all. For example, EC2, the load balancer, or VPC only, or ECS, or some of the tasks here that you would be assigning WAF, applying the WAF. Okay, and the next one is the major important thing in terms of a security is SaaS and DAS tool. Here we'll learn about what exactly the DAST and SAST here, and then majorly, right? We will learn some of the open source tools. I mean, open source SaaS tool, DAS tool, for example, Vera Code is another SaaS and DAS tool. OASP, JAP is another DAS tool, and some of the open source one commercial tool that we will be using, and each and every SaaS and DAS tool here. And majorly another one is what are the security aspects of a Docker and network security. For the Docker security, we would use Trevi or some other tool, Clara. And for the network security, we may use a Nessus also. Okay, this is what we will be learning in terms of the security aspects here. For the security monitoring and log management is, we don't learn all the, I mean, there are something called ELK and Splunk here. We won't learn all these because this is where maybe as a DevOps person, you would get a requirement to configure the ELK. Okay, because this is a somewhat complex, I mean, not like complex, I could say, somewhat a little bit a bigger one. ELK means Elastic, Logstash, and Kibana. These are the some of the tools, right, where we will managing the logs here. So how to configure that and everything. We don't learn how do we configure. Just remember, okay, we will show you. I'll take you. I mean, if you want, I'll give you a separate video how to configure this. But in a class, what we do is how do we integrate this ELK with the existing application? This is a definitely task you would be getting here. Why? Because, right, sometimes separate team would be configuring the ELK for you, and they, as a DevOps person, you would get an assignments like you need to integrate the existing Java, Maven, or I mean Node.js application to ELK to forward the logs. That kind of a task you would be getting here. Okay, and then Splunk is another security operations central tool which will be analyzing the real-time logs and then identify some of the issues. Here also we don't, I mean, if you want, I'll give you the separate video how to do that, which I have which I'll make it as a fresh one, or else I'll teach it here itself. Okay, and these are all again the security frameworks and what are all those. This is some of the theoretical concepts. This is how our live and each and every concept that we will be dealing. Okay, and the common thing of all this is doing a hands-on, which I'll show you in front of you. Okay, and I'll tell you each and every concept in a scenario based. Like not each and every, just remember some of the things. For example, here I'll take a scenario here in Terraform here, and here is a scenario, and here also scenario, but very little. But the focus area is for after completion of all this, right? I'll show you the entire pipeline here. I mean, including all this, what is a big project? I could say a similar mini project. I could say I can tell you to collaborate it. Okay, yeah, these are the takeaways, or these are the promises for this course. And now you just decide, and then let's complete the entire process, and then let's start on here. Okay, any questions so far? Do we need a dev experience as a prerequisite for the DevOps? I can't say yes, because I mean we don't require a development experience for the DevOps. We don't require, but sometimes they will ask you to write some automation tool, automation script. For that, we would be writing a shell script or pipeline, CI/CD pipeline, or Terraform. You are almost, see, when you are learning about the Terraform, you would be almost a developer kind of thing, because you would be writing a code for that, right? But only the Terraform language, which is a HCL corporation language, HCL language model. You don't write Java or Node.js or .NET code for that. Okay, we don't require a development experience because we are going to learn these specific tools here. That's it. Okay, any questions? Yeah. Okay. If no questions, what we can do is you can chat it still if you are not able to talk. But ultimately, this is how we do proceed here. Okay. From
So
tomorrow.
I
Yeah,
have a
please.
question. I have a question. So I mean, like that was me who mentioned that I don't have Java experience.
Right, Sandeep.
That
Yeah.
everything will be like trained in here pretty much.
Sorry, come again.
I mean the tool, the scripting that I'll be using for
Right.
DevOps, that will be trained in. It is covered in this entire
Correct.
training session. That's what
Right.
I'm trying to
Absolutely.
say.
Yeah. See,
So now
one
is
thing.
it like in like
Yeah.
sorry sorry to
Please go
interrupt,
ahead.
and I have one more question, like is it in depth or is it only the basics are you covering?
See, okay, I'll tell you the when I say use case, right? Use case won't come up with the basic part here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. And the scenarios which I'm explaining, everything was a real time here. And the in-depth, right? Even if you go very in-depth, the concepts are
Mm-hmm.
the same, but the way how do you use the very difference. I mean, comes a difference, basic and advanced. I'm definitely sure
I
we are
mean,
not going the basics. We are going beyond the basics for sure.
okay, because the approach is most important, right? How you're going to solve a problem or whatever the
Absolutely.
approach.
Right.
So once like when you are done with this course, like we'll have a vision of how we are going to solve or how we are going to approach to a like whatever the manager asks us to do, like
True, true. Not the end of the course for every task which I'm going to give you. Okay.
mm-hmm.
Okay. If I'm a manager, how I look at
Mm-hmm.
my DevOps or my team member is I'll try to assign a task. Okay. And then give you
Mm-hmm.
a problem statement. Now I'll wait for you. How do you approach it? You would have, I mean, if you are good and if you are fine, you would be definitely completing it. If you are stuck, we'll able to hear you. This is how I do approach and then tell you. Okay, if for example, if you're learning about the Terraform, what kind of a task that you may get from a your manager, and how do you start thinking about that? How do you start
Mm-hmm.
approaching to solve that problem? This is a scenario, right? I hope this is what you are looking at. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So this we don't deal that in end of the session, but we'll be dwelling on each and every concept here. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
So do you have like this is like a more towards security, right? As you have, so they have more jobs on this, like.
Yeah, yes. See, you may go to, I mean, yeah, of course, the jobs are there, but maybe because of some lag in hiring process, that's all are pulled. But right, people started looking about the DevSecOps person instead of a DevOps person. This is how I've seen, right, in 2 days, I have seen a job description changes from DevOps to DevSecOps persons. This is what I've really been.
What is the other one that you mentioned? Like,
DevOps and DevSecOps.
yeah, what's the difference? Like, this is the one which you're
We are
training,
learning
the
about
second one.
DevSecOps. We are targeting the higher one, which means the DevSecOps part, which ultimately involves the DevOps part. Okay, DevOps will come till this point, Docker, and later
Mm-hmm.
that's it. But when it comes to the SecOps, I mean, people are calling DevSecOps, SecDevOps, DevOps Sec. People are calling in a multiple way. They are putting their security in first, middle, last, and everything. But however they are mentioned here, but the security comes, security aspects will be coming into picture. This is only the major difference here. You would be applying the security concepts on the existing CI/CD pipeline with the help of a different tools. And then how do you automate it? By using a SaaS and a DaaS tool. For example, how do you automate? Which is like a infrastructure as a security code tools. Infrastructure as a code, right? This will come the infrastructure and security also. They are calling it as a security as a code, in a SaaS and DaaS by using a Vera, Zap. How do you automate? That's the major difference.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Any questions over? Okay. If no things, I'll tell you what is tomorrow's plan here, and most probably we will learn about some of the principles of DevSecOps, which is especially the culture and collaboration and some of the information, and then a little bit about the Linux part also here. This tomorrow's session will be Linux also, along with some of the things. Okay. Yeah, this is the plan for tomorrow. And please let me know if you have any questions here, and please complete as much, please onboard as much as possible, so we would be starting, and then right, if you have any questions, you can ask me the questions on sessions itself, so it would be helpful rather than seeing a video here. Okay, don't get late, and then come, and then we'll start as much as possible. Sometimes, right, one more caution, not like caution, note. Sometimes the time that I have been mentioned here is 50 to 60 hours or 40 to 50 hours, right? Just it depends on how much fast we are going. It's not like the fast, it doesn't mean, it's not meaning like we will be go as much as possible, like a rush. We won't be in a rush. We will be, for example, if I take a 1 hour today, right, definitely it may cross one hour or 1 hour 15 minutes, sometimes 1.5 hours, because the scenario that we are discussing requires some time, little bit's fine, right? If you are not able to spending a time on a particular concept, maybe you won't be learn. Don't stick with 30 minutes or 40 or 1 hour or 1 hour 50 minutes here. Okay, please bear with me on this journey. I'm sure you would be learning something. You would be going to take a couple of things from me once you completed this. Yeah, this is pretty much about me. I think someone has messaged. Okay, yeah, I think Sandeep already mentioned you can contact the Sandeep to complete the onboarding process, so we'll get started. Okay, that's the end of session for today.